I know that you're going to have the president at the opening game, but
crisis permitting, yes.
Crisis permitting.
Yeah.
Are you bringing in old senators or old? Are you bringing in name players?
Not that night. We have so much else going on that night, but we certainly plan to over the course of the year. We have a lot of different theme nights, and we'll have old timers nights. We have Hispanic Heritage Night and Negro League tributes, and so we have a variety of different nights through the year. But that won't be happening on opening night.
That's really, you mentioned. It's made me think of something that one of the most interesting things about baseball is really how international it has become, and that the recruiting process for players is it's a global game now, and you must have to. It was interesting. You're going to embassies.
Yeah.
You're working the angle on embassies.
I have done that
because ambassadors, you've got guys we want.
Every city. Well, it's almost like that because every city has advantages and disadvantages. In Atlanta, we had a superstation that really worked, getting our name out there. Well, what do we have in Washington? We have. We have a news bureau from every city in the world. Okay, that's cool, but LA and New York have that too. What we have that no one has is embassies. And so yes, I've gotten to be friends with, every ambassador from every country in the world that plays baseball. And here's my pitch. I said, look, you can't deliver players to me. That's not how that works. There's a system for getting players. But if there's ever a player from your country who's good enough to play here, we just want them to know that this is a hospitable environment, that they have friends here in the embassy who can help them getting acclimated, who can make travel for their families easy. And I say, listen, if there's a great player from your country, what good does he do you in Dallas or Cleveland, right? I mean, and they all say, absolutely, no, we want him here, And so I've gotten great cooperation.
So how many ambassadors are you going to have at the opening game?
Quite a few. Their identities will remain secret, but they're our best friends, Yeah. But it's a good thing for baseball too that I have a good relationship with embassies. Don't you think? It's good for everyone.
I thought it was
especially
very
me.
clever.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
Okay.
Do members of Congress have an instant seat if they want it the way they've?
Oh no. We're very finicky about that. I did have dinner. It's really funny. I had dinner with a couple U.S. senators not long ago, and at the end of the night, they each reached in their pocket and took out their credit cards. They're very scrupulous about it.
You to run it off?
No. Well, I don't know. I would have been happy to do it in the old days. We might have, but they're very scrupulous about that stuff now. I do not, but I have a phone number I can give you. We can work that out, Carol.
We will. So we've talked about building the team, and we've talked about the fan experience, and then the other was community relations.
Yeah.
What is community relations?
It's, again, in the real world, it's building your brand. Here's how I explain it. Every company that has any prominence in any city, as the responsible thing to do, it has an active community relations program, and we're no exception. But for me, it's also a business imperative because if I do a good job of that, it's the way I reach my customers. It's the way I get my message in front of my customers when they're not sitting at my ballpark, when they're not sitting in front of a TV watching my game. It's still how I'm connecting to them. It's still how I'm reaching them. And I've explained this to my players. It's such a smart thing for them to do to become a part of their community, both while they're players and for the contacts they make for whenever they're done playing. And so when we took over the team, my first team meeting, I went to our guys and I said, look, I know you're all great guys. I've heard great things about you, but you should know that when you come back next year, we're going to have a new rule. I expect each of you to make one community appearance per month. That's 6 times a year, 6 hours a year. It's not too much to ask. And I got no pushback. They were great about it. All they needed was some direction. And I said, listen, if you guys are involved with a charity or a cause or an interest, let's do it. Make it work for them. Let's have a program for them. If you want to get involved and don't have something, we can hook you up. So we've done that. We put on programs in all 8 of our wards. I have personally, and we're through Virginia and Maryland, and we've explained the importance to all of them, and they've been great about it. Another thing we do that took no effort, I told my guys 9 times last year we had our players greet our fans at the gate in full uniform. And it's the coolest thing we do, when a person comes up and gets to meet Manny Acta shaking his hand as he's coming into the park that night. We're going to do that again this year. And again, this is us reaching out, trying to connect.
Most want to meet?
Well, they want to meet the Ryan Zimmermans and the Dimitri Youngs, but we're building, I think, an organization that's going to have many, many young, fresh, interesting, cool faces to meet.
And how often do you get out to the farm to the minors to see the young guys?
It'll be more this year because the last 2 years have been consumed with everything about building a stadium. But you know, I try to hit every minor league team every other year. I can't do all 6 in a summer. There's just too much going on. But I try to get there, half of them every year.
Community relations, probably a component of that would be trust. And coming off this dreadful experience of the drug scandal in baseball, the Nationals have a unique position. You had one player, I think, that was implicated and mentioned in the report, and some others who aren't even with the team anymore. So you're starting off with a fairly clean slate. How do you keep it that way?
Well, first of all, you must understand in terms of fans' perception, it has become much more, and I think reasonably so, much more a focus of media holding us accountable than it has been a concern of fans. Because as I said to you...
any poll, it doesn't matter. You look at the poll.
Exactly, yeah, and ticket sales are up everywhere, so you know, it hasn't been a fan issue. It's been a media issue, and that's not being critical.
But it's a management issue.
Well, yeah, it's something you don't want. I think what the Mitchell report pointed out was a couple important things. First of all, I think we're through the steroid problem because we now, because of the intervention of Congress, we have a rigorous testing program. No one's coming up dirty. So I think we've gotten a hold of the steroid problem. The next problem out there is quite a thorny one. It's HGH, and the problem there is no reliable test yet for that. But every day we're getting closer, and I think the union has pledged to allow testing when we get there. The final thing I would say is what the results of the last few years tells me is that we need to be vigilant for the next thing around the corner. There are always going to be people looking for the next thing. If you read the famous book Freakonomics, that's his major thesis. Everyone's always going to cheat given the right incentives, and it's clear that the incentives are great for real success. So we're always going to have to look for ways to police that.
Should baseball players go to prison?
If they do something that's against the law, yeah, I don't have any issue with that.
As we speak, Barry Bonds is trying to get a job.
Well, yeah, the thing you're referring to, Barry, is a perjury thing, not an abuse of steroids thing.
Right.
Yeah, people commit perjury.
You have lots of players on the ropes for different reasons.
I'm in favor of people who break the law going to jail. Yeah, that's an easy one for me.
But do you think Barry Bonds will get
Don't
hired?
Don't know. Will he get hired? Will he get a job? It seems to me he is still so good that it's likely that he'll get hired. I couldn't identify a team for you. Right. That's a problem. Should be an American League team because he's really become a liability in the field. But boy, last year he was still getting on base over 40% of the time, which is extraordinary.
Would you want him?
No, we're a National League team. He belongs in the American League.
I mean, did I say that
I was way ahead of you on that one, yeah.
I can take it.